Hey, Nick from the Headliner team here with another episode of the Headliner podcast. For this week's episode, we asked our newsletter subscribers what the one piece of podcasting gear was that they couldn't live without. The answers we got ranged from stuff that a lot of people may already have laying around their homes to some nifty equipment that's sure to improve your quality of life when it comes to recording audio. On top of that, we also have some updates from Oliver on what's going on over on headliner.app, as well as a couple of setups we thought we'd share for people looking to start a podcast at a couple different price points. So, without further ado, here's Oliver from the Headliner team with some updates on what's going on over on our site.
Happy Friday, everyone. Since this episode is all about gear, I'll let you know what I'm using to record this. I've got an Audio-Technica ATR 2100 USB XLR mic. That's a mouthful. It has USB and XLR inputs. I'm using the USB to plug directly into my laptop and GarageBand. I checked Amazon and this mic isn't available anymore, but there's a new one from Audio-Technica, the AT2005, that looks strikingly similar. It's pretty easy to use and I like it. I think the one that's available now costs about $80 to $90 depending on where you shop. And I will not be mentioning your company, Jeff Bezos. I know you're listening. And I'm going to tell people to go local, whatever that means in today's world. And now for the updates. Our team is hard at work on the customize step in automation. We are bringing a full template editor in, so you'll be able to create automations a lot like you do in the Audiogram Wizard. I think it'll be a great way for you to skip using the timeline and editor entirely if you want, and just crank out videos. Better, faster, stronger. Wanted to also let you know that Nicholas and Rob G from Libsyn are teaming up for a webinar next week. It's on Wednesday, April 22nd at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll put a sign-up link in the show notes. I've noticed a lot more people are using our referral program lately. In case you haven't tried it out yet, you can give 2 weeks of Pro free to a friend, and in return, you'll get 1 week of Pro free when they sign up for Headliner. And you can just kind of keep adding, right? So if you sign up 10 friends, you get 10 free weeks of Pro. So you can access your referral link by going to your account settings area. Just click on the little profile icon on the upper right-hand side of Headliner, then go to Free Pro, and you'll be able to invite people. Thanks. If you have any ideas for Headliner, the podcast, or just want to get in touch, my email is oliver@headliner.app. Have a great weekend and hope you enjoy the responses from your fellow podcasters. Coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Andrew Gelina, and my podcast is called Underserved, the podcast for the rest of the tech industry. We cover all sorts of tech topics and lessons learned with a focus on the Boston technology scene. The one piece of my podcast gear I cannot live without is my Cloudlifter CL1 mic activator. I've had to work from home for the last month, including recording all my podcast episodes with guests remotely. It's helped me get great sound out of my impromptu recording space and cheap microphone that I have at home. The lower noise floor and clean gain make things sound so much better. You can hear the results on our website at underserved.fm. That website again is underserved.fm. You can also see what we're up to by following us on Instagram at underservedpodcast.
Hi, my name is Carolina Gropa, and my podcast is called Life with Kaka. It's a show where I have candid conversations with producers from all corners of the entertainment industry. One piece of podcast gear I cannot live without would be my Sony noise-canceling headphones. I use them for editing, and it's made the world of difference in being able to hear the nuances of the conversation between me and my guest and making sure I get the clearest and crispest audio possible for my listeners. Thanks for considering this audio. I would love to be included. And that's it. Thank you so much.
My name is Sarah Barnes Humphrey, and my podcast is called Let's Talk Supply Chain. The podcast gear I can't live without, well, there's two things. One is my editor. I don't know what I would do without them. And the next one is my mic flag. I just feel like it's more branding. It looks professional, and I get a lot of comments on it and compliments on it.
My name is Mike Tarnow, and my podcast is Afternoon Coffee with Mike and Tim. And of course, I'm the Mike part. But my one piece of podcast gear that I cannot live without is my sound-absorbing panels. My son had these made for me out of rock wool, and they're 6x4 panels that just have a simple wood frame around them with some material over it to protect it and so it doesn't fly all over the place. It is insulation after all. But I think the cleanliness of your audio is important. I've heard some where it sounds like someone is recording out of their bathtub, and it's kind of distracting. And maybe it's because I'm me. I'm also a voiceover artist, and I notice things maybe that other people don't. But I really believe that this is one of the main things that I cannot do without, and it's my sound absorbing panels in my studio. So there you go.
Hello, this is Christian Hunt, and I'm the host of the Human Risk Podcast. Now, obviously, one of the most important pieces of equipment for podcasting is your microphone. I use the Rode NT USB, and I do most of my recording from a standing position. Now, to make that as easy as possible, I've mounted my mic on a boom arm swivel, which means I can position it right where I want it, whether I'm standing or sitting. It's the same piece of kit that you'll see being used in professional talk radio studios. So whilst I love the Rode mic, it's the boom arm mount that is the piece of podcasting gear I can't live without. Given my podcast is all about human behavior, having something that gives me the flexibility to have the mic where I want it is incredibly important. I'm Christian Hunt. You'll find me on Twitter at Human Risk Blog, and my podcast, The Human Risk Podcast, wherever you get your quality audio content.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Rachel, and the name of my podcast is called Dating App Disasters. It's about the wild ride of dating apps and all the crazy things that go along with it. So the piece of equipment that we love to use is called the Rodecaster Pro, and it's great. It's really easy to maneuver, and we are able to take call-ins and do sound effects and all types of cool stuff. So thanks so much. Check it out. Bye.
All right, so that was several pieces of equipment that some Headliner users can't live without. Their answers actually got me thinking about different podcasting setups in general and how wildly the equipment used to record a show can fluctuate depending on what people have available to them as well as what their budget is. So I thought I'd take the liberty of running through 3 different podcasting setups for 3 different price points. These certainly aren't the only setups out there, but I think they touch on some of the fundamental podcasting rigs that you'll see out and about. The first setup I'd like to shout out is our $0 tier for people looking to start a podcast right now with the tools they have at home. And the specific setup that I'd like to focus on for this price point is a piece of technology that everyone has access to, a smartphone. It's a no-brainer that the average smartphone these days contains a pretty good microphone on it. And in the case of some phones, like my Samsung S9, they may even contain multiple microphones that can be used to help record multiple speakers in pretty good quality. On top of that, recording a podcast on a cell phone can be as simple as using the voice recorder that's built into your device, using an app like Anchor, or using something like Skype, Zoom, or even Discord to record a call with another person, assuming you know how to get that set up on each of those apps. Building off of that, if you've recorded your podcast using your phone but want to edit on a computer, you could use open source software like Audacity. Audacity is an amazing piece of software, and it's totally open source, which means it's free to download and use. It even has a bunch of plugins available for it that'll help you get the most out of your audio. Moving into the second tier for ways to record your podcast, for $50 to $100, you could use a laptop or a desktop computer and pair it with the Blue Snowball. The Blue Snowball is a USB microphone that retails for around $50 and is just a step down from their $130 option, the Blue Yeti, which is a bit of a standby for podcasting USB mics. I've personally owned and used both of these microphones over the years, and while the Yeti is definitely the better microphone, the Snowball is hardly a pushover when it comes to budget recording setups. On top of that, because it's USB powered, it's a plug-and-play microphone that doesn't require a pricey preamp or much to get it working. And at $50, podcasters with a remote co-host will be able to affordably purchase a second one to use on the show, ensuring quality audio for both of you at a budget. As for recording the Snowball, just like with our $0 tier, I can't recommend Audacity enough. It also pays to record your calls on a service like Skype or Zoom as a reference to help you synchronize audio between you and your co-host if you two recorded audio separately. And for our third tier, at $100 to $200, you can invest in the Audio-Technica AT2005 USB mic. It's an $80 microphone that boasts a cardioid pattern and, in my experience, does a pretty good job at cutting out sounds that aren't being generated from close to the microphone itself. On top of that, the thing I really like about this mic is the fact that it supports XLR inputs in addition to being a USB microphone. This is perfect because at almost $100 a microphone, not only are you getting a good piece of equipment, you're getting something that can stick around for a while if you decide to upgrade your setup and invest in a preamp. Plus, because these microphones don't cost $100 each, you can use the leftover money you'll have from buying 2 of them and use them to invest in some quality of life equipment like pop filters or soundproofing to help with the quality of your recording. Like I said earlier, there are a ton of different ways to record a podcast out there, and I haven't even started to scratch the surface of what you can use to record a show at these 3 price points. This was really more just to get the ball rolling and give you guys an idea of what kind of equipment you can look for if you're thinking of starting a podcast or upgrading your equipment. With a bit of work and resourcefulness, each of these tiers are capable of putting out some really high quality audio. But with that said and done, I think we've reached the end of this week's podcast. I hope you guys got some value out of this episode and that you learned a thing or two about different podcasting setups and equipment today. If you'd like to participate in the Headliner podcast through submitting an answer to our weekly question, you can do so by signing up for our newsletter at headliner.app/newsletter. Till next time.